The story of Samson, God's strongest servant. A long time ago, in the land of Israel, there lived a man named Samson, who was known for being the strongest man that ever lived. But Samson's story is about more than just strength. It's about following God, making choices, and learning from mistakes. Before Samson was born, his parents had no children, and they prayed to God for a child. One day, an angel visited Samson's mother with amazing news. The angel told her that she would have a special baby boy, chosen by God to help save Israel from their enemies, the Philistines. The angel also gave her some instructions. Samson was to be a Nazirite, which meant he had to follow certain rules. He was never to cut his hair, and he had to follow God's ways. When Samson was born, his parents loved him and taught him about the special plan God had for his life. As Samson grew older, he noticed something different about himself. He had incredible strength, the kind of strength no one else had. He could fight off lions with his bare hands, lift heavy things like giant gates, and defeat many enemies all by himself. But this strength wasn't from lifting weights or eating lots of food. It was a gift from God to help him protect his people, the Israelites. The Israelites had many enemies at the time, but the worst of them were the Philistines. The Philistines were always causing trouble, and God wanted Samson to stop them. One day, while walking through the vineyards, Samson was attacked by a lion. Instead of being afraid, Samson fought the lion and killed it with his bare hands. He knew this was a sign that God's power was with him. Samson had many adventures and battles. The Philistines tried to capture him many times, but they couldn't. Once, they tied him up with ropes, but Samson broke free easily. Another time, he defeated 1,000 Philistine soldiers using only the jawbone of a donkey. He was strong and unstoppable, but as powerful as Samson was, he started to forget something very important, that his strength came from God. One day, Samson met a woman named Delilah. The Philistines offered her money to find out the secret of Samson's strength. At first, Samson didn't tell her the truth. He made up stories about how he could lose his strength, like being tied up with new ropes or braiding his hair. But Delilah kept asking and begging him to tell her his secret. And after a while, Samson gave in. He told her the truth, that his strength came from God, and that as long as his hair was ever cut, he would remain strong. That night, while Samson was asleep, Delilah betrayed him. She had his hair cut off, and when the Philistines came to capture him, Samson's strength was gone. The Philistines blinded him and threw him in prison. Samson was weak, sad, and felt far from God. He realized that he had made a big mistake by trusting Delilah and forgetting to rely on God. It's Samson, even in prison. Samson's hair began to grow back, and so did his faith. He prayed to God for one last chance to serve him and help his people. One day, the Philistines brought Samson out of prison to mock him during a big celebration at their temple. They didn't realize that Samson's strength was returning not because of his hair, but because he had prayed to God and trusted him again. In the middle of the temple, Samson stood between two large pillars. He prayed, "Lord, give me strength one more time." Then, with all his might, he pushed against the pillars, and the whole temple came crashing down. The Philistines were defeated, and Samson's mission to protect his people was complete. Samson's story shows that even though we may make mistakes, God is always ready to forgive us and give us strength when we ask for his help. Samson learned that true strength doesn't just come from muscles or power. It comes from trusting and following God.